One nickel is worth $146,000. Another reached $235,000, and a third stunned collectors at $469,000. Together, these three Jefferson nickels carry a combined value of more than $850,000. The shocking part isn't the money. It's how ordinary they looked before their hidden secrets were discovered. So what transformed simple 5-cent coins into life-changing treasures? The investigation begins with coin number 1. The nickel looked wrong the moment it hit the collector's table. Not rare, not shiny, not beautiful. Wrong. Its surface carried an unusual green tint, the kind of color most collectors would dismiss without a second glance. In the spring of 2018, a hobbyist sorting through thousands of old 5-cent pieces pulled one coin aside simply because it didn't resemble the others. It was a 1975 Jefferson Nickel from Denver. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a damaged coin. But the deeper he looked, the stranger the story became. For decades, Jefferson nickels have quietly traveled through pockets, cash registers, and forgotten jars across America. Most are worth exactly 5 cents. Yet every so often, a single coin emerges from circulation, carrying clues that transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into a mystery. This 1975 nickel appeared to be one of those mysteries. The unusual green appearance raised questions immediately. Many collectors know that environmental exposure can cause copper-nickel coins to develop unexpected colors, including green corrosion or toning effects. But experienced numismatists also know that unusual appearance sometimes causes important details to be overlooked. So the investigation began. Under magnification, attention shifted away from the color and toward the strike itself. The date looked sharp. Jefferson's portrait retained surprising detail. Then another clue emerged. The Denver mint mark. During the mid-1970s, mint marks were still punched into working dies by hand. That process occasionally created unusual varieties and positioning anomalies that modern, automated systems rarely produce. Suddenly, the green nickel was no longer being examined for its color. Collectors were studying it for what might be hidden beneath decades of circulation. As researchers compared examples from the same year, they discovered that 1975 nickels contain several fascinating varieties. Some show repunched mint marks. Others display off-center strikes. A few exhibit unusual die, characteristics that escaped quality control before entering circulation. Each discovery added another layer to the puzzle. How many had already been spent? How many remained unnoticed inside old collections? How many were sitting in jars at this very moment? Then came another surprise. Experts studying high-grade examples found that certain 1975 nickels are remarkably difficult to locate, with fully struck details on Monticello's steps. Even among mint state survivors, sharply struck examples remain elusive. That revelation changed everything. The coin's value would no longer depend solely on age. Condition became critical. Strike quality became critical. Rarity became critical. The green color that first attracted attention turned out to be only the opening chapter. Months of research eventually led to authentication and grading. What appeared to be a simple 5-cent coin had become a serious collector piece. The combination of rarity, preservation, and demand pushed elite examples into a category few people would ever imagine. And that is when the final number appeared. Not 5 cents, not $50, not even a few thousand. The highest known examples of the 1975 Green Jefferson Nickel have reached an astonishing value of approximately $46,000. A life-changing amount hiding behind a coin most people would never examine twice. But as remarkable as this discovery is, the next coin in our investigation may be even more surprising, because coin number 2 begins with a detail so small that nearly every collector misses it the first time they look. The secret was hiding in a box nobody wanted. When an old Pennsylvania home was cleared after an estate settlement, dozens of dusty folders, envelopes, and forgotten coin sleeves were stacked on a folding table. Most contained ordinary change collected over a lifetime. Wheat cents, modern quarters, common nickels. Nothing that seemed extraordinary. Then one envelope changed everything. Written across the front in fading blue ink were 3 words: "Do not spend." Inside sat a single 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. At first glance, it looked completely ordinary, and that was the first clue. Most collectors spend their lives searching for coins that stand out. Strange colors, obvious errors, dramatic damage. But the most dangerous mysteries are often the ones that appear perfectly normal. This nickel belonged to that category. The family had no idea why it had been separated from the rest of the collection. There were no notes, no certificates, no explanation, only a coin and a warning. As specialists began examining the piece, they quickly confirmed that the missing mint mark wasn't actually missing at all. In 1964, Philadelphia-produced Jefferson nickels were struck without mint marks, making the coin appear ordinary to almost everyone who encountered it. More than 1 billion examples were produced, which should have made the mystery end there. But it didn't, because this particular nickel possessed details that didn't match the average. Circulation strike. Its surfaces looked unusually sharp. The rim appeared stronger. The design elements seemed more precise than expected. The deeper investigators looked, the more questions emerged. Could it be one of the mysterious special strike pieces that have fascinated collectors for decades? The existence of certain unusual 1964 Jefferson nickels remained largely unknown until examples surfaced years later in the numismatic marketplace. Experts noted distinctive characteristics, including unusually sharp strikes, satin-like surfaces, and exceptional preservation. Suddenly, the envelope marked "Do Not Spend" no longer seemed strange. It seemed intentional. Someone had recognized something. But what? The investigation continued. Magnification revealed stronger details around Jefferson's portrait. The lettering appeared unusually crisp. Even the steps of Monticello showed characteristics collectors carefully study when determining rarity and strike quality. High-detail examples of Jefferson nickels are especially sought after because most circulation strikes fail to preserve those tiny design elements completely. Another clue, then another, and another. Each examination pushed the nickel farther away from being an ordinary 5-cent coin. Months later, after authentication and expert evaluation, the truth finally emerged. The forgotten envelope had protected something far more significant than pocket change. It had preserved a remarkable survivor from one of the most fascinating periods in Jefferson nickel history. And then came the number. A number that transformed decades of mystery into a stunning revelation. Not 5 cents. Not $500. Not even 50,000. The highest known examples associated with this rare Red Jefferson Nickel, 1964. No mint mark variety have reached an astonishing value of approximately $235,000. $250,000 hiding behind a coin most Americans would overlook without a second thought. But the investigation isn't over. Because coin number 3 contains a clue so unusual that experts spent years arguing about what they were actually seeing. And when that mystery was finally solved, the result shocked the entire collecting community. The room fell silent before the bidding even began. Rows of seasoned collectors watched, a small nickel displayed beneath bright auction lights. To most people, it looked like an ordinary 5-cent coin. Yet inside that room, experts understood something very different. They weren't looking at a nickel. They were looking at a mystery that had traveled through decades of American history before emerging as one of the most talked about Jefferson nickels ever discovered. The coin was a 1960D Green Jefferson Nickel, and the story behind it is unlike anything we've uncovered so far. By the time this coin appeared in front of specialists, rumors had already been circulating among collectors. Stories of an unusual 1960D nickel had quietly spread through hobby circles. Some believed only a handful of significant examples existed. Others thought the reports were exaggerated. Nobody knew the full truth. What everyone agreed on was this: finding one was extraordinarily difficult. The investigation began with a detail hidden in plain sight. On the reverse side of the coin, beside Monticello, sat the small Denver mint mark. Just a single letter, just a tiny D. Yet that tiny mark would become the starting point of an investigation stretching across decades. Researchers started comparing surviving examples from collections around the country. The more coins they examined, the stranger the pattern became. Many ordinary 1960D nickels showed the wear expected from years in circulation, but a select group displayed characteristics that didn't fit the normal story. Their details appeared unusually strong. Their surfaces carried an appearance that immediately separated them from common examples, and some possessed a distinctive green coloration that made experienced collectors stop and take a second look. That was clue number 1. Then came clue number 2. Historical records revealed that billions of nickels were produced during this era. In theory, that should have made examples easy to find. Yet truly exceptional survivors remained surprisingly scarce. Why? Where had they gone? Had they been spent decades earlier? Lost? Destroyed? Or were they still sitting unnoticed in forgotten collections across America? Nobody could answer with certainty. The mystery only deepened. As grading specialists examined elite examples under powerful magnification, another revelation emerged. The finest specimens displayed extraordinary preservation. Tiny design elements remained visible. Jefferson's portrait retained remarkable sharpness. Monticello showed details that rarely survived years of circulation. Every new discovery raised the stakes. Collectors who once ignored 1960 nickels suddenly began searching bank boxes, inherited collections, and old albums. Stories surfaced from estate sales. Coin shops received unexpected visits. People who had never paid attention to nickels started checking every 5-cent piece they encountered. The hunt was on, and then something remarkable happened. One particular specimen emerged that seemed to combine everything collectors were searching for. Exceptional preservation, remarkable eye appeal, extraordinary rarity, the kind of coin that appears only rarely during a collector's lifetime. Experts knew they were witnessing something special, but nobody was prepared for what happened next. When the coin finally entered the marketplace, anticipation reached a level rarely seen for a Jefferson nickel. Collectors watched. Dealers watched. Investors watched. The bidding began, then climbed, and climbed again. Each new offer pushed the coin deeper into legendary territory. What started as a simple 5-cent piece was now commanding attention from some of the most serious numismatists in the country. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. The final number, the number that transformed a forgotten nickel into a headline-making rarity. Not $1,000, not $50,000, not even $200,000. The highest known value associated with this extraordinary 1960 Green Jefferson Nickel reached an astonishing $469,000. Nearly $500,000 for a coin originally worth just 5 cents. A tiny piece of metal, a small mint mark on the reverse. A mystery hidden in plain sight for decades. And perhaps that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because treasures don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they sit quietly inside a drawer. Sometimes they rest inside an old collection. And sometimes they pass through countless hands before someone finally recognizes what they're holding. The next time you come across an old Jefferson nickel, don't dismiss it too quickly. Look closer. Study the details. Ask questions. Because history has proven that the most ordinary-looking coins can hide the most extraordinary secrets. And who knows? Your next discovery might be the one that rewrites the story entirely.